PR Connections Radio presents. This podcast is brought to you by NVisionU. NVisionU has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With NVisionU, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code NVisionU.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally.
Hello. Welcome to Talks with Toi, and I am your host, Toi Moore. Thank you for joining our podcast today. Today we are going to be interviewing, I am going to be interviewing Kelley Williams-Bolar. And before we bring Kelley in, I'd like to just show you, I'm promoting my new books, Celebrity Life Behind the Scenes. This is book number 15 for me. This one here is my paperback book. I feature 50 celebrities that I have personally met, taken pictures with. So all their pictures and little small stories are in here about them on my experience in meeting them. Everything is all good. I don't go like that. And then this one here is my tabletop book, which is 8.5 by 11. And it has color pictures in here of the different celebrities that I have met. And so all of my books are available on Amazon. If you want any personally autographed books, you can let me know. You can always contact me at talkswithtoi@aol.com. I'm old school, so if it ain't broke, why fix it? So anyway, I'd like to invite Kelley Williams-Bolar, who is going to talk about her experience in the education field, some of the things that she has been through in her journey and how we got to meet and what she's doing now. So welcome, Kelley. It's good to see you here.
Hey, Toi. It's really good to be here. I really appreciate that you asked me to come on. I'm honored.
Oh, thank you for coming. No, I'm honored. I appreciate you, and thank you for just being here and being a part of what I'm doing. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing right now, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, my name is Kelley Williams-Bolar. I live in Ohio, kind of like Cleveland area, but it's more so Akron, Cleveland area. I am a paraprofessional. I work in education. I work with students with behaviors and some multiple handicap students. I've been doing that for, I don't know, ever. Like I've been doing that for years. And now do you want to, I know that's it as far as what I'm doing now, like right now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to, what did we say? It was 2015 when we first met. Unofficially, because
Yes.
we still haven't met in person,
No.
but I feel like I know you because we've been in contact since 2015.
Yes.
So explain how we met and how that came about.
Honestly, I think we met before then. It's just that's when we decided and when I asked you about the book and you said you were you do writing and you could help me with my book. So I was like, cool. But I think we met like a few years before that, via Facebook.
Right.
So I remember reaching out to you and I was like, I have the story because it was my story, which happened back in 2011 when I was indicted for me, using me and my parents. I had just gotten a divorce and I needed help. And my dad was like, bring your kids out here to where he lives, we both lived off of the same main street, which is called Copley Road. But he lived in the rural area and I lived in the city. And so he asked me, he had his own business and he had gotten sick. So when he got sick, he had basically retired. So he was like, just bring them out here and I can help you with them. And so finally I said, okay. So I enrolled my daughters. I have two daughters. One was in 3rd grade and one was going to middle school. And I enrolled them out there. And that's when it all started, right? It was, the school district hired a liaison, and the liaison can come to your house, which it wasn't like a signed contract or anything like that. It's just, this is just something that they put in place, where the liaison can call you or come to your house and go into your bedroom or look into your bathroom and see how many toothbrushes you have, see if the closet corresponds or the bedroom corresponds with the child's age and different things of that nature. And which, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that because these were my parents' house, and my daughters, we were always there. No matter what, I was always there and everything. My father built a beautiful home on this land, and my girls, we all had our own rooms anyway. And my father, he always, in his mind, he always thought, I want to make sure I have, if my kids ever need, he has two, me and my brother. He said, if we ever need to come back home at any given time in life, he wanted us to be able to come home at any time. So we had everything in a house that was in my house too, right? And I lived right down the road. So to make you understand, they had been there for an entire year. They did well. We got something called the grandparent power of attorney. That in itself, if you don't know what that is, grandparent power of attorney is when the grandparents can help enrollment with the students. They can help with medical issues. They can help make decisions, right? So I needed that when I got my divorce. I needed extra help. And so the second year came around. And when the second year rolled around, the first 2 months of the school year, I received a letter from the school district. And it said, we have clear and convincing evidence that you do not live in the district. So that's when it all started. And so we were like, we were so confused, like, what's going on? Why, why is all of this taking place? So by that school year, we kind of, argued about it. We had grandparent power of attorney, and we were like, that's what it's for. So by June, our judge who granted me the grandparent power of attorney sent me a letter. She said, they are fighting this. Just take the girls out. I said, okay. So I took them out that June. And a year go by, year and a half go by. It's 18 months that go by. And I received an indictment. And I'm like, what? And it came in a postcard. And let me tell you something. I am not that kind of person that to me, that looks like junk mail. Honestly, it could have easily went a really bad way. Cause when I go to the mailbox, especially back then, I would get stuff and I just totally toss it out. If it wasn't like a bill, right? So I'm looking at this little postcard and I'm like, Ohio versus Kelley Williams-Bolar. What is this? So I remember calling my father like immediately. I was like, Dad, I got this postcard and it says Ohio versus me. So he was like, come on over, bring it over and let me see it. So I go over to his house. His mail ran too. I went out to his mailbox. I got it, brought it back in. He had the same thing. So now we have a court date. We don't know what it is. Mind you, it's 18 months later. My kids had not been there for over a year. It was just confusing, right? So we go to court. We're sitting there. We're watching people come in. Mind you, I've never been to jail. I had a ticket for parking in the wrong spot on the street before. But that was it. Like, I've never had any issues with the law. And neither had my father. So we're sitting there and we're watching all these people come in. I'm talking men that are shackled to each other in orange outfits. And these men are coming in there for rape, murder, abuse, what's it called? Just all kind of stuff, right? And we're you can hear it because you're in a courtroom, and this is not court TV on TV. This is real life. You're hearing what these people are being charged with. This is real, and it's like, oh my God. So then when they call us up, it's because it's called school district jumping, and they said I stole $70,000 worth of public education. My daughters they said it was $35,000 per child, and that I stole that, grand theft and tampering with documents, and it was another. I was charged with three different cases, and me and my dad and my whole family, we were all distraught. We were just like, where is this coming from, and why? Why is this happening? It just didn't make sense, Toy. You read my book, and you read the details in it, and
Yes.
I was praying and crying every other day and asking God why, and and I've never heard of, I work in a school district. Half the kids in my classroom district jump, if that's, what they call it. Half of them live in different, you see them every day going from schools, catching a bus, going to the other side of town. And so it wasn't like the way they made it seem like we invented this. It was premeditated and it was malicious. And it was like, no, this is overzealous prosecution. Like, this is insane. So that's when the procedure started, and we end up going to trial, and we end up, they had to pick the jurors. They had to find out, it was just a lot in detail of this, and I got found guilty, and I went to jail for 10 days. I had to go get fingerprinted, and just all the things that would make you feel horrible. the mugshot, the fingerprinting, when you go to jail, they make you derobe in front of them, and they make you shower in front of them, the sheriff, and stuff. It's just humiliating, all the things that take place with that, and then of course my dad was already a sick man, and they couldn't get him on that. They had to drop his charges because my dad didn't do any of that. So what they did with him was, when he for the judge, and he said, we're being persecuted, not just prosecuted, we're being persecuted. And the moment my father spoke and said that he was sick and that he had he had some, he had many strokes, and that's how he stopped working, because of the many strokes. They went into his information, and they were like, oh, you were supposed to change. He was supposed to change over from, I don't know if it was Medicare to it was something you're supposed to change over from Social Security to Medicaid or something at a certain time of age. He didn't do that, but you would think that the social workers or someone there would say, at this age, now you need to go over here to do this. But that did not happen. So they said he stole $100,000 worth of medical. So now, don't forget, our situation is going on, and it's gaining national attention. No court wants anyone from outside of their area to intervene and to interfere. And what I heard was, it started going where they had to, the judge chambers, they had to unplug their phone in the chambers. That's how people were calling from all over the country. Or is this real? Is this really happening? Are you guys really indicting the mother, for them sending their kids to? So what I'm saying is that they were not happy. They were very, very upset. I heard the judges and the head prosecutor, they were all starting to argue. And it was like, this is like inside information. When I was in jail, state reps were coming to me, telling me certain things. Pastors were coming in. They can come in at any time when you're in jail. They can visit you at any time. So they were coming in and they were just telling me things that was going on the outside. And so that's why they ended up, I feel, they were already overzealous with the situation. But then when they couldn't get my dad on that, they were like, well, we're going to send you to the penitentiary, because there's no way that this girl you guys should be getting this kind of attention on this situation. Nobody wants to disturb the little bowl that they got going on, a little fish bowl. Mm-hmm. So he went to jail. Me and my dad's birthday are around the same time. My birthday is July 15th. His birthday is July 17th. We always, always, always had a celebration together. And that year, that was our first year we weren't able to, of course. And I remember him calling and him saying that he couldn't walk. And we were like, what do you mean? He said he couldn't walk anymore. Like his walking had stopped and he just couldn't walk. I was like, wait a minute, you gotta listen. My father he had a Muhammad Ali body. Like he was tough. He was a strong man and skin like leather. Like he was just a beautifully made individual. To look at when you would see him, you'd be like, oh my God, this guy here is amazing, in his youth, so he was a strong man. Of course, he's older. He's in his 60s now. So still, his residuals from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take care of yourself when you're younger. It's residuals. You're supposed to be residuals of that, So it's like, what do you mean you can't walk? You should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was, when you're in a facility like the penitentiary, they don't do what they do here. So the doctors and the nurses, and it was a doctor, he would not wash his hands between patients. Okay. So if you don't wash your hands between patients, then the patient risk of getting C. diff. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, because I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But it's something like this called C. diff, something like that. That causes an issue where you can stop walking, because they were good. And of course, again, my father had ailments, so he had to take medicine. So they touching medicine, they touching different patients, they probably, everything. And then they go from one patient to another. So he calls us and he says he can't walk. And we were like, oh my goodness, this is, horrible. Come to find out, that's what he had. Few months later, now wait, I can't forget this part. It's been a while since I spoke about this. I was A and he was B. So when the first 2 or 3 times I tried to go see him, it was like we were Bonnie and Clyde, like we were out here doing some malicious stuff. They would not let me see my father. They felt like, I don't know, we had to go through a lot of hoops. Then finally, I was able to go see him. But by the time I was able to see him, he wasn't really, it was just a body there. Like he was just laying there shackled to a bed. And you shackled to a bed for what? You're not a murderer. You're not a rapist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they had him shackled to a bed at the hospital with his arms and his ankles. Like, where's he going to go? He don't even know he's here now. He doesn't even know he's around. And but I remember right before that happened, his body just started going all the way down. He had to do dialysis, and it's just a lot of stuff that he had to endure. And then around the major holidays, like it was wintertime, when we got the call that he had several strokes, more strokes, right? And they were called mini strokes. And then after that is when he wasn't functional anymore. So he was like bedridden for until the end. He never came home. He was sentenced for a year, and he died in the penitentiary alongside of murderers and rapists, and he didn't deserve that. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. To go to jail for something like that is just,
Yeah. So I had the privilege and the pleasure of publishing her book. And so just your story alone, I mean, because you were on like Dr. Phil and some other networks.
The Talk with Connie Chung, Dr. Phil. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
Because people couldn't believe that you're taking your girls to their grandparents. It's not like you're using somebody's false address.
Exactly.
And they're going to their grandparents because you have to work.
Yes.
And you want your girls to be safe. And then you get penalized. And that's why so many people, your case was so broad for everybody, because like you say, people were doing that. People were doing it who were supposed to be doing that. And you didn't see them going to jail. So for some reason, they wanted to use you as a exploit, example of I don't know. And it was crazy. So with all of that happened to you, how did you turn that around, Kelley, and make a negative into a positive. And, God forbid, I'm sorry again for the loss of your dad. That was just awful and so unnecessary. So how did you turn around and make that particular type of story that was so negative? How did you turn it around and make it into a positive and to help other parents and people just going forward?
Well, okay. So, God, I was going to say something. I lost, maybe it had to come back. I lost train. I hate when I do that. I lost train of thought. I was going to say something about my father real quick. But anyway, from the beginning, it was like, it took a life of its own. It wasn't even me. It wasn't me. I didn't know what to do. It wasn't like I was calling these producers saying, hey, I want to be on your show. It all started with people understanding this does not fit the crime. So it was common sense. So I got catapulted into that light, but it wasn't like I was like, I'm going to go and do. No, but one thing about me though, is that I've always been an advocate for education. I've always been an advocate for children. Right. So when this happened, John Kasich, the governor, his wife, she saw it and she was like, this is unjust. And she told him, and that started the ball. That's one of the things that started the ball to roll. People started calling me. What I did know was I was not going to turn anyone down, because people thought, oh, she's just going to sue. She's going to get money and sue. And I did not sue. I felt I have more power in keeping this alive than just trying to get something, money, some kind of financial monetization, and then going and no. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this until I don't breathe anymore. And I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna have legacy for my father, because he didn't deserve that. And we're gonna make sure no other daddy, no other mother, no other grandparents will ever endure anything like this again. And so in life, you have to take lemons and make lemonade. My dad used to always tell me when I was a little girl, my daddy would sit us down. We always had meetings. We always sat at the table. That was our meeting ground. And it wasn't once a week. We did this all day, every day. We always sat and talked. And my dad it was a quote that he stood by. And it was, thoughts become things with wings that fly. So in other words, you must imagine it if you want to receive it in the palm of your hand. You have to plant that seed. So with that in itself, I was like, keep going. You're going to be able to change laws. You're going to be able to make sure that these people understand that what you did was wrong. This law, this was not acceptable. Because if it had been someone else, I would have stood there and I would have said that this is not acceptable either. It's not, just because it happened to me. No, unjust is unjust.
So were you able to change any laws, or
yes?
Did they hold your, do you still have the prison situation in your file, or did they dismiss it all? What happened with that? What have you done going forward?
They reduced everything. John Kasich reduced everything. And thank goodness. So I don't have that criminal background if someone was to look up my record. Even though if you look up, at the end of the day, it's almost like, does it even matter? Because if you look my name up, it's going to come up anyway.
Yes.
So I'm still walking around with a big sign on my forehead saying that I got into this trouble.
Right.
But he did reduce everything. And then he gave me my freedom papers. I call them freedom papers. And I'm shocked. I should have had all that out, because it's really looked like something out of another century. It's really big and long, and it's nice, and it has a seal on there. It has, him signing it, and I don't even know why. And I don't know where it's. I got it right here. Can I pull it out real quick? Can I show you? It's going to take a second.
Okay. Hurry up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So like I say, I have the privilege of publishing Kelley's book, because I'm an author, as I said. This is book number 15, but I also offer services of publishing. So I help assist people who are publishing their books. And that's how me and Kelley came in contact with each other anyway.
So
Let's see it.
this came in the mail.
Oh, okay.
And it was very, very, I framed it because
yes, I would have.
This was beautiful from John R. Kasich, governor, said state. And this, he reduced everything. He was like, this should not have happened.
Yes.
I'm going to give you this. And I just thought that this was a true honor. And
for sure.
So I have everything that I've ever received from anyone. I make sure I keep it in a drawer, and I have a lot. I have a lot of stuff.
And so you go around now from time to time and you speak on the event that happened to you, and you talk about how you were able to, you said, change the law or stop things.
Yes, I Connecticut, their law has changed. They cannot put a parent in the penitentiary for what they call district jumping. I was just in Vegas a few months ago, did some work out there, spoke at a convention. Whenever someone calls and asks me to come, I'm there. I take time off of my job. That's how passionate I am. I work with kids and they're very impressionable, and they don't like change. They don't like it when you're not there. But at the same time, I have a duty, and I'm not going to slack on that. I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure this never happens again to another.
So how old were your girls when this happened, and how old are they now, and how did it affect them?
Okay, so one was in 3rd grade. So how old are you in the 3rd grade? 8? Yeah. 7 or 8. And the other one was going to middle school. And so she was around 11 or 12. And so, and now, girl, they grown, they old. If I say how old they are, that means it's going to say how old I am.
Well, what did the experience do for them when it was going on? Did they understand the severity of what was going on, and how did it turn their life around from what you did go through?
They went through a Great Depression. We all went through a depression. Like I wasn't the mom. And honestly, it's almost like a blood transfusion. My whole self is different. I've never been the same again. Okay. So I say all that to say is that when it all transpired, I didn't even realize until my youngest one was telling me, she was like, Mom, you're not getting up. You're not getting yourself together. You're not making us breakfast. You're staying in your room. You're staying in bed. I'm like, what? And I was like, oh my God. Because in my mind, I'm replaying it. I'm replaying it over and over and over and over and over again in my mind. I should have did this. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you do this? Literally, that was in every part of my being for a long time. I was no good to anyone. And so, and my poor kids, they had to deal with that, And so we all had to go for counseling because that affected everyone. It affected everybody.
So how did you make those lemons and turn it into lemonade, going forward?
So you just got, Toi, you can't go into a corner and suck your thumb and cry. You have to push through. Every day I'm walking the halls at my school and people are talking. That's the one. She went to jail. Her dad in jail. They do, and and believe me, when you're in fire like that, every day the paper, they just stopped writing stuff about me literally 4 years ago. So it was always something that they had to write about me, about the local paper, right? This is the Akron Beacon Journal that I'm talking about. So I had to keep standing. I couldn't just fall. You can't just go in a corner and die. You know that I don't know what was to be expected. I don't know if it wasn't like this is going to be some grand situation and this. No, I'm living every day. I still work at the school. I don't have a clear-cut answer for you to say I became this awesome individual and this is how I made it. I didn't make it. I'm still working. I'm still grinding. I'm still doing what I need to do. You know, I can't sit up here and say I tell my students, and I tell my students things that happen to me. I let them know I'm human too. Because a lot of times kids don't think you're human. If they see you at the store, they're like, "What are you doing here?" Like, I grocery shop too. We all eat, you know. So I have to I'm very transparent with anyone that come into my life, and I always tell them that part of my life, because that's very important. I'm just me, Toy. Like, there is no special, how did I do this, that, and the other. Look, somebody call me and they ask me to come, I come. I tell my story.
What do you think it was that helped you get out of your depression? You know, was it your daughter bringing that to your attention, or what was it? Because so many people fall in depression for different reasons. You know, of course, yours was crazy. So what helped you to get out of that and to be able to move forward?
I believe being able to talk about it. I believe it's therapy. I believe writing. I always tell people to write. Create everything. Write. God didn't give you all of this talent for nothing. He didn't give you the skills for nothing. And if you're going through trials and tribulations, write it. Because guess what? It's therapy for you, and not just for you. If someone hears your story and if they have a situation, it may not be like your situation, but they know if she can persevere and she can come in here and stand before me and hold her head up, I can get out of my situation too. You know, like, that's very important for me, for people to know. I've always felt that way. I've always, even before this happened, I always felt like you must journal, you must write things down. Writing is power, and it's therapy. And getting it off your chest and writing it out, whatever happened, your day to day or month to month, or however you want to journal. It definitely is therapy for me. And I know that it can help other people. And a lot of times people don't even know that, because especially inner city people, they don't even know what can help them, because you're too busy living. You're too busy working 2 or 3 jobs and trying to make ends meet and trying to do this, trying to do that. And you got kids and you got to feed them, and you can't see anything out here but what's right in front of you. So I always tell people, take a moment out of your time and engulf in you and write out things that can help you. And again, and my father said it, and I'll say it again, thoughts become things with wings that fly. So you must imagine it and write it out. See yourself in that, in the light that you want to be in too.
I love it. So say for it, I mean, if you had to do it all over again, and I'm sure you would have, because the reason was legitimate, what would you do differently, or what could you have done differently? And also a second part of that, since the law got changed in your city and state, did it also get changed in other cities and states?
Okay, so no, it has not gotten changed in my city or state. No, what happened was John Kasich got involved, the governor of Ohio at that time. He helped reduce, right? He changed, he got me out of it, but the law still stands in Ohio. We are working on it right now. I am with several organizations. I am with Available to All, with Tim DeRoche. I'm also with Yes Every Kid. I'm also with, oh my gosh, I do a lot of advocacy work, and I do a lot of liaison work. I'm with many organizations. I even talked to a guy who was a producer for Marvel today. Oh, wow. He was cool. So, but all I say all that to say, Connecticut, that was Connecticut that the law had changed.
Okay.
But
okay.
But I'm just working. I'm just doing all I can. If somebody comes to me and they say they want to do something, we're going to do it. But it was you asked several questions. I know I missed one of them. In that
No,
one.
it was just if you could have tweaked it or changed it, what would be something different that you would have done?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I would not have done it. To lose my father, he was 100 miles away. He died alone. That would never, no, I would never have done this again, ever. No one should die alone, 100 miles away with strangers.
I mean, but you didn't have control over that part, you know, and even to be in the situation that you were in, you didn't, like so many other parents, family, people didn't think you were doing anything wrong because that was their grandparents. It wasn't like you just gave somebody's random address. So
Exactly.
that's what made it all crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why it blew up so much, because you weren't trying to do it secretly or,
No, I wasn't
doing
trying
it
to
crazy. Yeah.
or premeditated as they
Yes,
say,
right.
or no. And I am so I love my babies, of course, right? And I love children, right? And I do a lot of advocacy work. You asked me, and I also want to say is that I have the I Reimagine ed tag, right? And I've been really, really trying to get that like going. So that's one of the positive things that I've been really working on as well. So I do a lot of AI, and I just create these characters, and these characters are very successful people. But in this like when I go to post these characters, and this, believe me, AI is tedious. This takes hours and hours and hours to complete. So I kind of talk about like a scenario in my life that happened, but then I also I go back and I'll say something that happened in it. I make that character go through that, but then I also come out and say, but this is going on now. So it's always to keep people staying positive, right? Stay positive. And so I do a lot of AI work lately. And I don't know where that's going to take me, but I think it's going to take me far because AI is interesting, and I'm mastering it.
Right, right. I know I'm learning more and more about it myself. Okay, so in closing, is there anything that maybe you would like to share with people going forward on the success of, the noise that you made to maybe help other parents, or just what is something that you think would be very valuable for the audience to know about with your struggle and with the situation that now you're able to talk to other people and educate them? So what information would you give to our listeners?
Don't stop. If you believe in something, stand true to you. Stand true to you, because just like in this, and they say back in the 50s, 60s, all they had laws back then that would stop people from doing, particularly Black people, from doing certain things. It was a law, right? It was a law. So just because it's a law doesn't mean it's just, doesn't mean it's the best law. And laws can be revamped. So if you feel like there's something that should not be, then don't just talk about it. You can't. You have to be a part of it. And clearly, if it came to you in your world, in your life, then it's part of who you are, and you need to try to make that change for the betterment of the next generation of people, right? Every generation is supposed to be better and better, not fall back. We're supposed to get better and better. And how are we to do that? So we have to know, you have to acknowledge what's right and what's wrong, and try to make this world a better place. So that's it.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to contact you, maybe for a speaking engagement or to know more about your story, how would they get your book? Probably on my website. I think you got it on yours now. Yeah. And how would they get your book? Give them the information, and how would they get in contact with you if they need to talk to you more in detail or book you for one of their speaking events?
They can email me. It's my actual name. It's Kelley Williams-Bolar, spelled just like it is on the screen, with no dashes, with no space, at gmail.com. Just real simple.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you for being a part of my Talks with Toi. We've been trying to do this forever. I hope your mom is feeling better. I know she had been under the weather for a little bit, so please give her my get well and my get well and my how you doing? How you doing? And thank you again for coming. And my audience, I'd like to again remind you that this is book number 15 for me. My books are available on Amazon.com. And you can get all of them on there. Just put my name, Toi Moore, TOIMOORE. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at Talks with Toi, just like it sounds, Talks with Toi at AOL.com. I'm old school. It ain't broke, don't change it. Anyway, Thank you again, Kelley, for being a part of my podcast. And I look forward to seeing you. It's so funny because I feel like we're sisters. We've been sisters for years, never met each other, but we just have this bond. And one of the things that I do have to say that I love, love, love about you is your spirit. You have the best, brightest spirit of anybody that I know, especially after going through what you went through. You know, every time I talk to you, you be pushing me. Come on, Toi, you got to do this. You got to do that. Half the time, yeah. I listen sometime, but anyway. But I love your spirit and I love your goal. And so maybe you were the one that God said needed to do this because your voice was going to generate to the masses of people to make people aware of the seriousness of what's going on. Yeah. So, I just say God gives us what we can carry. And obviously, because of your bright spirit and personality, he believed that you could carry this. Unfortunately, your dad had to pass away due to a crazy circumstance, and may he continue to rest in heaven. Okay. But I love you. I thank you again for being a part of Talks with Toi, and we will be in touch, and let's work together again soon.
Absolutely. I can't wait, Toi. Thank you. And don't forget, I do have the YouTube channel called K's Journey. I forgot about that.
Okay.
K-I-S Journey. Just, if you guys have a chance, check it out. Thanks.
Okay.
Toi.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Good talking to you again, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.